Hello and welcome to the wasteland, wonderful people. Today, I want to show you my complete wall design that I've been crafting for a while now. This is not exactly a tutorial but a deep dive into playing this game a bit more creatively. I'll be focusing mainly on aesthetics and efficiency so that my vault looks absolutely beautiful, as well as turning it into a self-perpetuating base by the end. There are tons of tips and tricks sprinkled in between, so stick around till the end and hopefully I can inspire you to start playing Fallout Shelter all over again. So, let's begin. The game allows us to build up to 25 floors, including the entrance level with 23 different building options with a max capacity of 200 dwellers. I decided to split my rooms in a 3-2-3 formation to maintain symmetry. This would allow me to build one side first for 100 dwellers and then mirror it later on. I then divided my vault into 5 different sectors based on all the various attributes the game gives us, each containing both kinds of production buildings and its respective training room. Every color block that you see here dedicates 3 floors to one attribute. These visually differentiated sectors would give me lightning fast dweller management. For example, when all the high endurance dwellers would be in one single location, there would be no more vault-wide scavenger hunts for the daily explorations. My first main objective was to make sure the power levels were always stable throughout the vault. Absolutely no flickers and no blackouts. Power rooms always prioritize electricity to the closest room, so I slammed them right in the center, feeding all the other sectors equally without any dead zones. I also had to add like one more layer of electricity production rooms since 8 weren't enough to power the entire vault. I obviously didn't need to do the same extra expansion for food and water rooms, as a Nuka-Cola production would take care of that. I'm sure all of you have faced those Stimpack shortages. They were so brutal. So stockpiling these lifesavers was the key to surviving incidents and explorations early in the game. I slammed in 2 extra med bays since each maxed out room pumps plus 30 storage, cranking my cap. I then just shuffled the science labs into the middle for a more balanced look and sufficient amount of radaway hoarding without clogging the wings. Okay, now that our layout is set and there's plenty of space left, so let's take it up a notch. The training efficiency of my vault was on steroids as the gym sit right between the production rooms. I would train 4 dwellers to max attribute and then swapped in the next batch. The max stat dwellers would give me blazing fast production cycles and fewer failed rushes and incidents. I chose not to train more than 4 dwellers at a time since the size of the training room doesn't really alter its effectiveness or reduce the overall training time, and I had limited space, so I didn't expand the rooms beyond these 2 slots. I was chasing that max 200 dweller cap that meant supercharging my baby factories. A level 3 double wide living quarter gave me 26 spots, so I constructed exactly 8 of them across the vault for perfect capacity without waste. I tucked them right between each attribute's production rooms for seamless partner swaps. Once a max stat dweller hit the living quarters, it was baby pumping overdrive. You simply pair 2 10 plus attributed dwellers from the room right next door and crank out prodigy kids like clockwork, and then immediately fast track them to the adjacent gym. Zero hassle, perfect management. I had so many kids running around eating free food, it was so funny. Now, let's move on to the crafting rooms for those game-changing legendary items. Every weapon slash outfit demands a different stat. Pistols want agility, rifles need perception, shotguns demand endurance, etc. etc. So I reserved my jack of all trades, my best balanced stat dwellers for these rooms, so I could avoid those painfully slow crafting times that come from like single stat dwellers. I could consistently and quickly pump out good gear for quests and explorations. Next on the agenda was to add the remaining crafting rooms, starting with the theme workshop so I could play around with how certain rooms looked. Here I found one of the biggest faults in my design. I could not apply the themes to living quarters since they were only 2 tiles long. I found this out the hard way very late into the layout, and honestly it was not worth the effort to change everything around it all over again. Next was radio rooms, which had great value in raising vault-wide happiness, which ultimately boosts production time. I could also occasionally attract new recruits to fill gaps. I don't think I've ever seen 100% happiness yet. I came close to 99% couple of times. You guys let me know if you have seen 100% and what do I do to reach that level. Anyways, let's go on. The lounge has to be one of my favorite rooms. I loved watching our hardworking dwellers get drunk, dance to music, and sing karaoke. Max charisma was also helpful in raising their flirting skills, especially after being embarrassed by Mr. Handy's taunts multiple times. The game room also has a similar purpose, letting dwellers unwind and I can't pronounce this word, instantly boosting their happiness and most importantly, raising their luck for better rewards and more money during quests and explorations. I made heavy use of the barber shop. I wanted to customize every single one of my dweller with matching hair and outfits to the different attributes. This was like a fun personal side quest. I loved playing dress up, as you can see. I assigned uniforms to each room, and as a bonus, this made keeping track of each dweller very easy. The overseer's office was a necessary build to do quests, and you cannot find certain outfits and items without playing those. I kept three quest pairs Q1, Q2, and Q3 in my theme workshop, lounge, and game room. The theme workshop became redundant quickly and was a waste of space quite early once I had crafted all the three skins. The other two were still useful. The game room was used to train their luck so they could find better loot, while the lounge would give them higher charisma for better dialogues when they encountered a boss. My first two rooms would be the defense against the constant raids. I took a little strategic approach here and created a choke point so all the intruders are immediately forced to fight my super dwellers who have the best armor and guns available. I added pets with bonus damage so they could wipe out even the toughest death claws within the first two rooms, and I had nothing to worry about. By the way, you can create super dwellers by taking the newly born level ones and immediately maxing out their endurance and then raising their levels so they end up having higher HPs and they can last really long in difficult fights. Roughly, let's say a level 50 dweller would have 50 HP, but a super dweller would have 250 HP because you raise their endurance to max first and then raise their level. Anyway, protecting the vault door is just pointless because two dwellers are never enough and they keep dying and you have to revive them again and again and again. I decided to use the lounge and game room for my hardworking defenders. I wanted them to relax, drink beer and play games when they weren't fighting any threats. Lastly, the storage systems. I didn't hoard a lot of items, so I didn't feel that I build more than two. Anyways, all the loot was getting quickly consumed, fitting and arming the dwellers and crafting items. I've seen several videos and vaults where people stack floors of storage towards the bottom. I personally didn't like the look of several empty looking wasted floors with rats running all around. Okay, so now that we are done, this is the final layout with each sector and all the buildings squeezed in between. And now a simple maths exercise. Splitting the 200 dwellers into these different rooms so the entire vault was perfectly balanced. Let's first fill all the major production rooms with 6 dwellers each. 24 into 6, 144. Done. Now we have 56 dwellers left who I split into a group of 4 to fill the remaining 14 rooms. Just to be a little more clear with the roles, I decided to color code them so I know exactly how many babies I need in the each attribute. The ones in pink are the jack of all trades, the balanced dwellers which were mostly used for crafting and quests. The final addition to the vault so that it runs on its own was one Mr. Handy per level. I was a little impatient here, so I directly just bought the bundle off the store to quickly fill all my floors. So, here's the halfway progress. You'll notice it's quite different from the final layout. That's because I was still learning the ropes. I was constantly tweaking and redesigning things to get a hang of them. I have some money making tips that helped me a lot. In the early game, I used to send out like 20 dwellers to explore every morning, and I would recall them right before I went to sleep every night, and they would be back next morning all fresh for rinse and repeat. I only did like 1 day runs because I was low on stimpaks early in the game and I couldn't afford to send each one out with 25. I could barely give them 5 each, but thankfully that was enough to last them an entire day. This gave me freedom from like micromanaging their different timings or worrying about forgetting them for extended durations that would generally lead to death. This was easily making me 25k a day, 20 from exploring and roughly 5 from selling all the junk that they brought back. With the first half of my vault complete, I was all set to start expanding to the other side. Let's rush the elevators a little bit so you can enjoy the rest of the construction. The moment I began expanding the layout to the other side, the game again became so much fun. Everything was chaos with all the newborns running around randomly. I loved how this tiny little bonus game became my Zen project for a couple of weeks, where every little fix felt like a huge win. I even renamed all my dwellers according to their attributes. For example, the name of all the strength dwellers beginning with an S. I named them after my favorite Dota 2 characters such as Slark, Snapfire, and Sven. I used names from all kinds of video games, books, and movies. Another thing that I loved was the addition of pets to the game. There were some really helpful ones which would reduce crafting time, increase damage, and some funny ones which would increase the chance of you having twins. There are some outfits that you cannot find anywhere except lunchboxes. Getting lunchboxes was easy by completing quests and sometimes just by playing ads. So, here's the complete look of my vault. Everything's perfect and clean. I can finally rest and observe as my vault functions on its own. I really wish there was an option to travel to other worlds to check them out, even trade guns or clothing, but maybe that's too much to ask from a small free game. I want to do something similar for Planet Zoo next. I used to play a lot of Zoo Tycoon when I was a little kid, and handling animals after dwellers is going to be a bigger challenge. One I think I'm ready for. Please let me know in the comment sections if there are any other games that you think that offer this degree of management and customization, planning and plotting, because I really enjoyed playing Fallout Shelter. I hope I inspired you to start playing this game all over again. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. Cheers.